Going on Kids Zone team. We have two events every year. Candy Town, our fall outreach, and that has various themes, and then also our egg hunt, where we do a big blitz, and our goal is to try to get kids who don't attend church to come to each one of our campuses. One of the things that we've offered during that time is for parents to join the elementary experience so they can sit in there and kind of see what we do with our kids. Now, let me just talk about a couple things. First of all, we do not offer that for early childhood, nursery, and preschool. We really want to keep that area secure, and if parents feel comfortable, they can drop their kids off in the early childhood area, but they should never be going into the early childhood area. That's one of our policies. With elementary, we do allow them to do that, but there are a couple things that we do to maintain a safe experience. So if you look at this is kind of the layout of how we set up a typical children's ministry area. You have the stage up here, then you have seating sections. Typically, we divide it between the boys and the girls on each side. And then what we do when we offer for parents to come in, we set up a separate designated seating area for them off to the side where they can still see the entire experience. They can watch things. They can be there and see where their kids are. But they're not actually interacting with the kids. So a few things that are super important during this time is you have to really separate your workers and the visiting parents. We do that a couple of ways. We have our Kids Zone shirts for all of our workers. That's one thing that is designed for people to easily be able to see who is supposed to be here, who's one of our workers. So super important that all of our workers have their Kids Zone shirts on. Especially in days like this. Really, it's important every day. But you have to be able to separate who's a visiting parent that we haven't cleared, that doesn't have a background check, that hasn't been through our policy manual, and who are those people that are just coming to check things out, and who's supposed to be there. Okay, so the other thing that you do beyond the Kids Zone shirt is we have these bright red name tags that say, hello, my name is. We have the Kids Zone logo on there. And that is for anybody that is coming as a guest. They're not a child. They're too old to be a child. So visiting parent, visiting mom, visiting dad, they wear one of those name tags. That is not just so we know their name. That's the courtesy of it. We want them to feel like we can call them by name. But it's also bright red, and it's really big. It's like one of those beefy ones. You can print like 4 or 6 on a sheet. So it's giant. The reason for that is so from far away you can recognize, okay, that person's here, they've gone through our process, but we know that they are not an approved person to work with kids. So that's an important thing to realize. We set it up this way. We have the parents sitting in this designated section. We typically set up coffee or tea for the parents so that we're making them comfortable. But a couple of things that have to happen. The parents should never sit anywhere but in this designated section. Now, parents are going to want to sit with their kids. That's always the case. They want to be there with their kids. So they're typically going to gravitate over here. You want to have somebody that's redirecting them and say, okay, we have our parent seating section that's over here. We have seats designed for you. A lot of times we'll make these chairs more comfortable. If we have like bigger padded chairs, it's a little bit nicer for the parents. But if parents want to sit with their kids, they are allowed, but just not in this section. What we will tell parents is, if you want to sit with your kids, you can sit over here in this designated parent seating section, and your kids can sit with you there. Only their kids can sit with them there. But all the kids that don't have parents with them need to be sitting in the main sections. Parents can sit in the parent seating section. The reason for that is we don't want parents who are not background checked, who are not cleared, who are not trained, interacting with any kids. So if they're sitting right there in the middle of the kids section and little Johnny looks over and they see an adult and they say, can I go to the bathroom? Little Johnny doesn't realize, oh, that's an adult. I think that they're in charge. He doesn't realize that they're not one of the Kids Zone workers. 6-year-olds don't think about that. So just keep that in mind. You want to keep all the parents in the designated seating area. When parents check in, you want to make sure they get their name tag. And then the other thing to think about is there are going to be some families who have younger kids and they don't want to leave them in the early childhood room. We do offer for them to bring those younger kids, the 3 and 4-year-olds, and just sit in the parent seating section. That allows them to stay with their kids, allows the kids to participate with the experience, knowing that they're too young. We're not trying to take care of those kids. They're basically in their parents' care. and they are allowed to sit in the parent seating section. So those are a couple things to think about. The reason that we do this is because parents coming into your campus for the very first time, they have not established trust with you yet. They're walking in. They want their kids to get a bunch of candy. They want their kids to have a really good experience, but they're not ready to just throw them in a room and walk away. This is an opportunity for you to establish trust with the parents. Now, there can be a little bit of a tension point, like, oh, if they want to sit with their kids, I want to establish trust with them. You actually can establish a lot of trust with them if you set clear boundaries. You say, this is what we do across the board. And they might not prefer that. They might want to sit with their kids, or they might want to break the rules or be able to be in different places. But they also walk away thinking, man, they really are strict on some of those rules. And next time I come back, I think that I can trust them with my kids because they're just so rigid on all those things, because safety is a very important thing for them. So this is our process. This is what we do for Candytown. This is what we do for Egg Hunt. Simple way to implement this at any location. You just have to set up the two sections and make sure you stick to your guns on the name tag and the parent seating section. And a lot of this really happens at your check-in experience. You need to have good, friendly workers that are talking to everybody, inviting them to come in, but explaining all those processes. If you skip that explanation and people think that they can go sit wherever they want, and then you have to tell them to move, it gets a little uncomfortable. So you want to get ahead of that and make sure they know what to expect. So great process, great opportunity to connect with parents. I've had some great interactions with parents during that time. Sometimes I'll even use them on stage or call them up for some of the games. And it makes it a lot of fun. They realize that we're having a good time with all of our kids, and it's a great way to build some rapport with them. All right, see you guys later.